Most people who are bad with money are not bad at maths. They are bad at one specific thing. And nobody ever told them what it is. Studies consistently show that people who budget are not wealthier, smarter, or more disciplined than people who do not. They just know one thing that changes how every financial decision feels. You are about to learn what that thing is. In my experience talking to people about their finances over the years, the same pattern comes up again and again. It is never about income. It is always about system. By the end of this video you will know exactly why your money disappears every month, and you will have a simple structure to stop it permanently. This is not about cutting out coffee. This is about understanding how money actually behaves so you can stop fighting it and start directing it. Tip 1. Here is the real reason most people struggle with money, and it has nothing to do with how much they earn. Most people treat budgeting as a restriction. A cage. Something that punishes them for enjoying life. That framing is completely backwards. A budget is not a restriction on your spending. It is a description of your priorities, written in numbers. When you do not have a budget, your money makes its own decisions. It drifts toward whatever is in front of you, a sale, a night out, a subscription you forgot you had. You are not in control. Your environment is. Think of it like walking into a supermarket hungry with no shopping list. You leave with things you did not need and without half of what you came for. A budget is the shopping list. It does not stop you buying things. It stops your wallet from being ambushed by whatever catches your eye. If you have ever reached the end of the month genuinely confused about where your money went, that is not a discipline problem. That is a system problem. And systems are fixable. Now here is where most budgeting advice goes wrong, because the second reason people fail has nothing to do with spending too much. Tip 2. Most budgets fail not because people overspend, but because they build a budget that is impossible to maintain. The standard advice is to track everything. Every coffee, every grocery run, every impulse purchase. It sounds thorough. In practice it is exhausting, and most people abandon it within a month. A budget that exists for 3 weeks and then disappears helps nobody. The reason obsessive tracking fails is psychological. When every small purchase becomes something to justify and log, spending starts to feel like a guilt exercise. Your brain learns to associate your budget with stress. So it avoids the budget entirely. You do not have a spending problem anymore, you have an avoidance problem. Think of it like a diet that requires you to weigh every single meal. A small number of people stick to it. Most people burn out and eat everything in the kitchen on a Wednesday night. The problem was never willpower. The system was never sustainable to begin with. What works is structure, not surveillance. You do not need to know you spent $11 on lunch on Tuesday. You need to know your essential expenses are covered, your savings are automatic, and whatever remains is yours to spend without guilt or a spreadsheet. That one shift from tracking to structure is what separates people who budget successfully from people who try and quit. And it leads directly to the framework that actually works. Tip 3. Here is the one framework that makes budgeting work, and you can set it up in under an hour. It is called the 50-30-20 rule. 50% of your take-home pay covers needs. 30% covers wants. 20% goes to savings and debt repayment. The percentages are not sacred, adjust them to your life. The structure is what matters. Needs are non-negotiable. Rent, utilities, groceries, transport. Wants are everything you choose: restaurants, streaming services, clothes you do not strictly need. Savings and debt repayment are the 20% that most people fund last. That is the mistake. They must move first. The critical step is automation. The moment your pay arrives, that 20% transfers out into a savings account, onto a debt, into an investment. It never sits in your spending account. You cannot spend what is not there. This is not a willpower strategy. It is an architecture strategy. Think of it like water and pipes. Build the pipes correctly and the water flows exactly where you want it, every time, without any effort. Rely on manually carrying the water each month and eventually you will spill it. Set up that automatic transfer today. The habit is worth more than the dollar figure right now, even if the amount is small. Now here is the piece that most beginner guides leave out, and it is the one that causes good budgets to collapse without warning. Tip 4. The biggest threat to any budget is not overspending on wants. It is expenses you knew were coming but never planned for. Car registration, a dentist visit, an annual insurance premium, a friend's wedding. These are not surprises, they are certainties. You knew they were coming. But most budgets only account for what arrives every month. Irregular expenses are the silent killers of an otherwise solid financial system. The fix is something called a sinking fund. Every month you set aside a small amount toward an expense that does not hit every month. You take the annual cost, divide it by 12, and save that amount consistently. When the bill lands, the money is already sitting there. No panic. No credit card. No setback to your savings. Think of it like a restaurant that preps ingredients every single day for the weekend rush. They know Saturday is coming. The preparation happens on Monday. Nobody scrambles on the night because the work was already done. Go back through your last 12 months of bank statements and list every irregular expense you can find. Add them up. Divide by 12. That monthly number becomes a non-negotiable line in your budget, sitting in its own account, untouched until the bill arrives. This one habit will do more for your financial stability than almost anything else on this list. 3 things to take away. A budget is not a restriction, it is a description of your priorities, and without one your environment makes your financial decisions for you. Tracking every dollar is not the goal, building an automatic structure that runs without your daily attention is. Irregular expenses are not surprises, they are certainties, and a sinking fund eliminates the financial ambushes that derail good budgets. Your one action for today: open a second bank account right now. Label it savings. Set up an automatic transfer for the day after your next pay arrives. Start with whatever amount you can. The system matters more than the number. You now know why most budgets fail and how to build one that actually holds. But here is the question that comes up next for almost everyone who gets their budget working: what do I actually do with the money I am saving? That is where things get genuinely interesting. Subscribe so you do not miss the answer. This video is for educational purposes only and does not constitute personal financial advice. Please speak with a licensed financial advisor before making any financial decisions.